She's not what you'd expect. She's tough and feisty, but gentle and tender. She makes millions and gives millions to the poor. She cries, she laughs, she teaches, she comforts. This is the Dani Johnson Show.
Welcome to the Dani Johnson Show. We're so glad that today you chose to be with us. And today we're going to have, I don't know, maybe you might call it intriguing. It might make you think about things that you've never really thought about before. Or it might be something you really got some great questions concerning kids. Kids and becoming entrepreneurs. I don't know if you've noticed, but we have seen quite the rise, of course, in the information age. These kids with their technical abilities is astounding, especially compared to us, what they would call old farts. But anyway, they are literally starting businesses out of nowhere, and some of them going on to building corporations literally as teenagers. Some of those corporations, multi-millions of dollars. In my opinion, many of them are doing so much better than the adults who are making the choice to choose welfare instead of starting a business, or to choose to stay on unemployment instead of finding a way to provide for themselves as well as the family members that they might be responsible for. So we're going to explore the simplicity of being an entrepreneur and how maybe some parents are encouraging their kids to become entrepreneurs. You might have questions about this. How do I set goals with my kids? Maybe you're already doing that. And if you are, we'd love for you to share with us your secrets to your success concerning them. Because here's the bottom line. Whether you realize it or not, the individuals that are in our homes, in our schools, in our churches, and in our communities are the future. They are the future. The future, perhaps, president or prime minister of a country. The future of businesses, leaders, presidents, inventors, sports people, meaning professional athletes, celebrities, singers, songwriters, actors, actresses, directors of movies, writers. Maybe there could be in your home a future world-renowned author that helps to shape society, as we have had, maybe not so much in our generation, but many generations before us, where they were mind shapers due to the books that were being written and read by children. And so that's who is in your home right now, is the future. It's not a brat. It is not a pain in your backside. It is the future. At the very least, they perhaps will be future parents, right? Moms and dads, future pastors, evangelists, some types of ministers, or even somebody that might start a charity, a nonprofit that is actually helping kids get out of the sex trade or taking care of orphans in this country as well as in other countries. And so today we want to explore, wow, what kind of vision are we putting inside of the next generation? There's a lot of different opinions concerning this. Is vision important for the next generation? Is it important to groom up the next generation of entrepreneurs? And what if we don't groom up the next generation of entrepreneurs? You see, for some, they think being an entrepreneur must be an impossible feat, but it really isn't. Does it require some skill sets? Well, I certainly didn't have any when I became an entrepreneur at the first time at 19 years old, when I started my very first business. And was I groomed to become an entrepreneur? No way. My parents were welfare recipients and they were drug addicts. There was violence and crazy abuse in the house that I grew up in, emotionally, mentally, physically, sexual abuse, verbal abuse. So I was not like the perfect cookie cutter, came from a business family, and then I was taught by my parents how to start a business. Not at all. I was taught by somebody else who had started a business, somebody else that then told a whole room of people about how he started in the particular business he started in, how he became successful, what the costs were. It started to get me thinking about becoming a business owner. You know, I like the sales pitch of make your own hours. Yeah, that's kind of funny. Make your own hours, work for yourself, make as much or as little as you want to. Those things were intriguing, especially to a 19-year-old who wanted to, well, have some freedom in my life and be able to have more control over my life due to the very insecure childhood that I had. So for whatever the reason is that causes an entrepreneur to become one, for me, it was simply that there was an opportunity and it seemed like I could have more control over my future. At least on the outside looking in, that's what it looked like. Well, I failed in that very first business. My first 6 months, I failed miserably. And then I heard about a training seminar where I would learn the actual skills that are necessary to actually run a successful business. And I spent a lot of money. And I mean a ton of money to me. $25,000 all on my credit cards, traveling every 3 to 4 weeks to a different city, learning from the same millionaire that was teaching at these particular seminars. And mind you, that next 6 months, I had a tremendous amount of success. I made $50,000 in a 6-month period, which in today's money is a couple $100,000. So I felt pretty good about myself at that point. But again, I was young. I lacked maturity. I obviously lacked wisdom. I lacked experience. I only had this much skill set when I needed this much skill set, and I ended up making a stupid choice, meeting and marrying a guy who I knew for what? 7 days. My business was embezzled. I ended up with $2.03 to my name and a $35,000 debt. Homeless, friend, think about that. When you're completely homeless, you don't have too many options. Wasn't able to find a job that first week that I became homeless. And when I did get hired, I had to wait another week for training to happen. So now it's around the middle of the month of December. I had not any income for 2 weeks. I'd bounced checks all over the place. People were hunting me down, trying even to find my new home, which was my car, because it needed to be repossessed. I was not making payments on my little Hyundai XL GL little 4-door roller skate that I was driving that now became my home and my closet and my storage unit all at the same time. So when you're desperate, that was my second business that I started out of complete desperation. And again, I was young, right? First time I was 19, second time I was 21. Now, for a teenager, that seems like you're old, but really, I was very, very young with not much experience starting a new business. But I got to tell you something. The investment that I made for that second 6 months into those training seminars, I learned enough about business and the simplicity of really, it's marketing something to someone. That's it. It's finding a product that is either already being marketed or is under-marketed and market it to someone. And so when you look at the simplicity of entrepreneurship, it's marketing something to someone. Okay. Now, yes, there's all kinds of other things that you can do alongside that, but at the very basics, that's pretty much how business works. It's a product or a service, an idea, or people marketing the product, service, idea, or people to somebody else that is willing to buy it. Now, there's a lot of skill sets that are needed in between all of that. However, that really is the simple basics of it. You know, I've heard of kids starting businesses of picking up dog poop. That is marketing something to someone. It's finding a problem that you can actually solve. Well, I know of a young 9-year-old that actually made hundreds and hundreds of dollars in just a few months, enough to save money for a trip that he wanted to go on, that his mom had said, if you want to go, you got to pay your own way. And this little boy wrote out a little script. He figured people don't like picking up their dog poop. I'd have to agree with that. Who likes picking up their dog poop? Not many people like it, enjoy it. People put up with it, but they don't necessarily like it and enjoy it. So he found a need, and he created a service, and he wrote himself a little script, and he went door to door with his mother standing in the driveway, door to door, reading out this little script, and got enough clients to make hundreds and hundreds of dollars to pay for a plane ticket, as well as a fee to get into a business training seminar, which is where he learned even more skills on how to grow that business even further. So is it possible for anyone to become an entrepreneur? Absolutely, it's possible. Is it beneficial for someone to become an entrepreneur? Absolutely it is. I've been an entrepreneur since I was 19 years old. That's 25 years. Don't do the math, okay? Almost 26 years. I'm coming up on 26 years here very shortly. Anyway, so that's what we're talking about. What are your plans with grooming up your children to become entrepreneurs? What questions do you have as far as how do I do that? Do you believe that everyone can become entrepreneurs? No or yes? My phone number is 844-200-3264. Again, that's 844-200-3264. 844-200-3264. That's 844-200-DANI for Dani, for the Dani Johnson Show. So think about this. When you think about what your very first job was and how much money you were making, I'm not talking about out of high school or college. I'm talking about, babysitting, like this little boy picking up dog poop or mowing lawns. You initiated some kind of effort into the marketplace, exchanging some kind of a service for dollars. Now, if you're doing it for yourself, that actually is the basis and the foundation for actually starting a small business and your first cutting your teeth on becoming an entrepreneur. And I think most of us have done something like that. Knocking on doors, selling See's candy even. That's taking a product that is getting marketed to a someone. It's very simple, okay? Yes, there's more to it. We're not talking about business licenses and all that kind of stuff. I'm talking about getting the kids' brains wrapped around being functional in the marketplace. Grooming our children's minds for success instead of allowing our society to groom them for failure or mediocrity or being average or, worse yet, being someone that's dependent on the government to be able to supply them and their children for their needs. Rather than you grooming your kids to be a someone in society that is waiting for things to happen, that you can groom your children to be one that thinks this way: I'm going to make things happen. So again, the phone number is 844-200-3264. If you've got a child that has started their own business, we'd love to hear from you about that as well, because I think it's important that all of us parents, as well as teachers and grandparents and aunties and uncles, that we begin to spur on the entrepreneurial spirit that truly is inside of every single one of us. I really believe it is, and here's the proof. The oldest living professions are what? Business owners. Yes. We cannot allow, and again, I'm not against big business per se from well, forget it. I'm not getting into a political conversation. But my point is, yes, there's big business and there's small business. I've always been a part of the small business category. Has it been beneficial to my family? Yes. Has it been beneficial and provided jobs to many other families, countless families? So it means that we can start planting seed inside of the next generation, that rather than thinking when I grow up, I want to work at McDonald's, no, it's how many McDonald's franchises do you want to own? It's as simple as a quick little switch in the brain. Rather than them thinking I'm going to work for somebody else, we can get their brain wrapped around, I will own businesses and I will provide jobs for the somebody else's that are out there. Think about it. What will happen if the entrepreneurial spirit dies? What will happen? Where will the jobs come from? Listen, all you have to do is look throughout history and see that that is a train wreck. Societies collapse when things like that happen. So we must foster entrepreneurial spirit in some of the kids on this earth today. This is Dani Johnson. I'm going to take your call right after this.
Coming up, a little work never hurt anyone, especially your children. On the Dani Johnson Show.
Did you know you can take the Dani Johnson Show with you wherever you go? It's never been easier to stay up to date with the latest content from Dani with the DaniJohnson.com app. Watch or listen in the car, at the gym, or on the go. Download it now from the App Store and Google Play and never miss a show again. Your family, business, and bank account will thank you.
For families in Santa Pancha, Nicaragua, life is filled with fear and struggle. They don't have enough food for their kids, clean water is hard to find, and they're living in a decrepit, unsafe hovel on top of mining tunnels that could explode and sink at any moment. But a miracle is in the making, and you can be a part of transforming this village. Go to kingsransom.org and click on Santa Pancha to see how you can help. That's kingsransom.org, kingsransom.org, and click on Santa Pancha.
In your face and in your corner. You've never had a coach like this before. This is the Dani Johnson Show.
Movers and shakers, history makers, where do they come from? They come right out of your home. They do, my friend. The future is in our homes. Future inventors, presidents or prime ministers of nations. We have future singers, songwriters. That's who in our home. They're in our homes, they're in our schools, communities, and churches right this very minute. The future workforce of the nation in which you are living in right now is living in our homes, living in our schools. Yes, they're at the grocery store with their parents right now. So here, you need to hear me right now. Who is training them up, and for what are they being trained for? Are you training up kids to be future financial failures? Training up kids to be those mediocre employees that say, I hate Mondays and I can't wait till Friday? Are you grooming up your children for success or failure? Today, we're talking about on the Dani Johnson Show about grooming up entrepreneurs, raising up kids to think like entrepreneurs, to start businesses, to learn those kind of responsibilities, also to understand money, where to put it, how to invest their time. Different skill sets they really are going to have both succeeding in the marketplace as well as succeeding where? In their homes, with their spouses, with their future children. So we're talking about goals and kids. What are your kids doing? What are you doing to groom up your kids in that way for being an entrepreneur? If you have questions concerning that, 844-200-DANI is my name. And that's the phone number, 844-200-3264. You want to enter in on this discussion, or if you are doing something with your kids concerning business and teaching them business, call us now. Tell us about it. What kind of business has your kid started? 844-200-3264 is that phone number. All right, we got Michelle from South Carolina. Michelle, welcome to the Dani Johnson Show.
My kids want to start business, and they talk about it all the time. And I would just really love to have your input on what are some great businesses for kids. They range from ages 13 to 9.
Oh, wow. Those are great ages for a kid to get some business experience by far. So what kind of businesses have they come to you saying they want to start?
Well, we live on a lake, and we one summer we made homemade ice cream, and we sold it by a store close to the lake. And now my son has decided that he's going to save his money for a jet ski, and he's going to build a raft, and he is going to take the homemade ice cream, and he's going to go around to people that are out on the lake, sell ice cream to them.
That is awesome! If that kid came to me, I would be buying ice cream for sure. I love that idea. That's an ice cream delivery service. That's brilliant. On a lake. Who does not want ice cream when they're sweating their guts out on a lake, right, Michelle? Huh.
I know.
That's a brilliant idea. I'm serious. That's a brilliant idea. And then, of course, he gets to, have fun on the jet ski when he's not selling ice cream. That's brilliant also. That's wise.
That's right, because, the jet ski is we teach them about investing your money in something that's going to make you money. Mm-hmm. So that was his way of being able to buy the jet ski. They've also talked about raising dogs, buying dogs and raising dogs.
Yep.
Trying to think of what else.
Let me tell you about two little girls. Let me tell you about two little girls that were 5 and 7 that started a business with obviously some help front money with their parents, buying the first set of cats that they then bred, and they raised Persian kittens and sold them. They were 5 and 7 years old. They breeded their cats. They sold $500 kittens. Hello? They sold a 5 and a 7-year-old sold $500 kittens. So trust me, your son, with this mind that he has, he's brilliant. And listen, until he gets his money for the jet ski, because again, mom and dad also need to do some cost analysis and see, wait a second, how much does it cost to run the jet ski? What's the cost of the jet ski? How much ice cream has to be sold before the jet ski is actually paid for? Plus, what's the maintenance and the gas on the jet ski? To make sure that this all makes financial sense. Do you know what I'm saying? How much ice cream is he going to have to sell in a summer or every day up to every week in order to pay for that thing? But here's what I would tell your little boy to do to start with. Does he have a bicycle?
Yes.
Then it'd be door knocking, honey. He should be door knocking. He is the bicycle ice cream man coming to the door with his beautiful ice cream display saying, hey, it's a hot day. Everybody wants ice cream on a hot day. And there they are. Come on now. That's where he can start with what he already has in front of him. So it's the money to buy the ice cream. Mama's got the cooler, ride the bike down the road, start knocking on doors, and start bringing ice cream. He could even get it to where he could ask, would you like to see me again tomorrow or the next day or the following day? Would you like to get on an auto ship of ice cream? What kind of ice cream do you prefer? I'd like to bring it directly to you, where he can bring this customized daily or twice a week or 3 times a week ice cream straight to that house. You know how that goes. I don't know if you grew up on a street where the ice cream man came. But it's really hard.
I was in the country.
Yeah, ice cream trucks are great, and I think an ice cream bike is a great idea for a young person to start a business, no question. Good job, Mom and Dad, that you have encouraged your kids to actually think like that, and that you're talking to them about making investments and getting their minds spinning on things they can do. Again, it's always find a need and fill the need, and I believe the idea of the jet ski with the ice cream is a great idea. Now you got to do some cost analysis, see if it makes sense. But at the very least, take that bicycle, that same cooler, drag that sucker home by home by home and start selling some ice cream. Tell your boy I'm really, really proud of him. And by the way, they're going to make mistakes. They might not make money, but they're getting the experience and getting over the fear of talking to people. They're getting over the fear of making mistakes, that they're actually initiating themselves and getting out there and trying to make money, which is important. Who knows? He might have an idea that absolutely works as long as he persists with it. Thanks so much for the input, Michelle. I appreciate you. I love that idea. I want an ice cream cone when I'm on a lake. Do you? This is Dani Johnson. We're taking your call, talking about goals and kids and raising up future entrepreneurs. Lily is on line 5 from Florida. Lily, welcome to the Dani Johnson Show.
Hi, Dani. Yeah, I absolutely do believe anyone can start a business, and I have been encouraging my children to start something. You know, I really believe that even while they're going to school, my older two are in college, that they should be doing something.
Yes.
And so I've asked them a lot of questions about this, and they usually come back to me with they want to do something in their area of interest. And my question to you is, does it necessarily have to start there?
No.
I'm more...
No, Lily.
Right?
No, and let me tell you why. You know, this is like that actually right there really gets under my skin all the time when I hear it. It really gets under my skin, and it's because we live in this society that has these two major flaws. One, custom-made everything to me. Right? I want my Big Mac the way I want it. So everything's about me and building what I want and doing what I want. That's the wrong way to build business. No, it's about finding what other people want and give it to them. It's finding a need that someone else has. Business isn't about filling your need. Business and successful business is built on filling other people's needs. So that's number one. The second part that we have in our society that is totally not grooming our kids to be entrepreneurs is waiting until we find our purpose and waiting until we find something that stimulates us. That's a bunch of nonsense, and our society has done this. Everything is about self-stimulation and self-service. Well, we have to flip that around and use it for our benefit instead of our detriment. So if we know that majority of society wants to be served, if we know that majority of the society is looking for that custom service that give me what I want and I want it now, well, then we can build a business giving people what they want and giving it to them as fast as we possibly can get it to them. So when I hear that question of, I want to do something that really, fits my needs or fits my interests. Well, if that was my mindset when I was a homeless woman at 19, I'd still be homeless. I started in a business that I didn't like and that I had no credibility in. I started in a business that I had no interest in at all. It was straight up desperation, need to make money yesterday. That's what it was about. That business made me $250,000 my first year and $1 million by the end of my second year. So you take that answer to your kids right away. And by the way, Mom, if you're paying for all of their college and you're paying for everything of their life, they don't have a need to make their own money. They don't have a need to start a business. So you got to be straight. If you're saying go start a business, yet you're still paying for everything, hello, girlfriend. They don't have a need to start anything if you're taking care of them like that. This is Dani Johnson. We're talking about the next generation and grooming up entrepreneurs, raising them up, training them up. And where do they get started? They start small. They start right where they're at. And they start with what they've already got. That's how you start in business. Yeah. You want to argue with me about that? 844-200-3264. Again, that's 844-200-3264. What happens if parents stop planning the idea of going into business for yourself into the next generation? What kind of a nation will we be? What world will we be when that happens? We'll continue with more right after this.
Don't just stand there. Soak this up. It's joy, it's encouragement, it's insight, to a better life and how to meet your obligations and overcome obstacles.
The Dani Johnson Show.
This is The Dani Johnson Show.
This is your chance. This is your shot. Get your copy of War on Debt right now. There's one waiting for you that has your family's name on it. And inside that package is freedom. Your family's freedom is on the inside of that package. All you have to do is open it up, press play, and start applying what I teach you in this program. 888-757-8880. You and I are going to help your family become completely debt-free in the next 5 to 7 years. Just imagine how that's going to feel.
Helping you get a grip on your priorities and your focus. The Dani Johnson Show.
Here's Dani Johnson.
Should kids be taught how to become entrepreneurs? And if so, when? When should we parents or grandparents, aunties and uncles, spiritual parents, friends, when should we start planting those seeds? 844-200-3264. Join the discussion. Whether you want to call in live and share your 2 cents, or you'd like to share that on Facebook. Our Facebook page is Dani Johnson Live. That's D-A-N-I Johnson Live. Line 4, we have Shauna from Millersburg, Pennsylvania. Shauna, welcome to the Dani Johnson Show.
Hey, my son wants to start his own business. He wants to be like his mama when he grows up. He's thinking, further in the future. So we're trying to help him with right now. But in the future, he wants to help people by digging wells in other countries, and he wants to be a father figure to children that don't have fathers. And he said that's what he wants to do. But obviously, we need to come up with a way to help him do it on a smaller scale here while he's 6 years old. And so,
that's awesome. That's awesome. I love that. I love that your son has a vision, because so many kids, even at 6 years old, don't have vision. And if they do have vision, it usually has to do with what they want to buy, not who they can help. It wants to do with where they want to live, not who they can help to supply food and water or shelter for. So, Mommy, you've done a really good job planting vision inside of your son, recognizing the kind of heart that he has. And I think it's wise that you're fanning that flame and that desire that he has. And so how do you start now? See, that's the thing that parents need to understand. That's not only parents need to understand, just people in general, because people always have questions about, how do I start a business? You start with what you have, and you start now. You start right where you're at with what you've already got. You don't go and look for something else. You got something right in front of you that you can actually prosper from and prosper with. And so with your son, right, he wants to dig wells, and he wants to provide water in foreign countries, and he wants to set a good example for other kids. So you tell me, Shanna, how can you use that heart and that desire and put that to work right now? If he has to start with where he's at, and he has to use what he already has to be able to practice his goal of in the future. Does he physically want to dig the wells himself, or does he want to fund the wells?
He wants to own the company and go over there and dig the wells. And he said that he's going to find his wife in the United States, but he's going to take her back over there with him, and they're going to be parents to those kids.
I love it. All at 6 years old. I love it. I love it. Vision. I love it. Okay, so if he wants to run a company, then okay, this is how I did it with my kids. So if that's his mindset, then what you can do is you can motivate him with, okay, well, running a company usually means you have a business building. And so we're going to practice taking care of your business building. We're going to start with your room. We're going to treat your bedroom and all of your toys and all of your books and all of your clothes as though you are managing this business territory. So let's put into practice keeping this room how you would see fit to run your business in the future. So it's about being responsible for your own items, putting things back where they belong, having systems in place that other people can actually follow. Because without systems and procedures, nobody can duplicate it. And so you want to speak that in terms of a 6-year-old, that being trusted with the bedroom and that being his business, and or helping out with emptying the dishwasher. That it's one responsibility at a time and getting really good at that chore, getting good at that task. So then he will turn around and teach someone else how to do that skill. And that then puts him in a management role, a leadership role, to where he knows how to do something that other people don't know how to do. And so we can practice right now with simple things in the house. Could be with laundry, right? Whites over here, mixed over here, darks over here. Do you understand? Like picking tasks that he can have responsibility over, that he can grow in that skill set to eventually then you can practice him managing mommy. Okay, why don't you show mommy how to empty the dishwasher now? Now you're going to teach me. So now what you get is you get a helping hand with the house chores. You're teaching him the value of work, the attitude of work, the right attitude concerning work. And he is getting the opportunity to lead, whether it's one of his siblings or if he's the only one. Then he could say, okay, Mommy, I'm going to show you now today how a room is supposed to be clean. And he's going to get to express it. He's going to be able to lead in it. You tell him what a great job that he did. But when someone takes ownership, they always do a much better job of it. And you can actually use that in grooming him all the way up through his teens until he becomes one that will run a business. And again, he can start other businesses on the side, raising money for these orphaned kids that he loves already that he has not met. That's another place where he can prosper right where he's planted by starting a little side business that he can, I don't know, like I said earlier, pick up poop for a living. People do that. They get paid to do that. He can offer that service. Taking out the trash for a sweet old lady down the street. He can learn to do that. He can do that well, sweeping her floor. You'd be amazed what people would hire a 6-year-old to do. And that's one way that he can start building capital so that he can provide for all of these orphans that he and his wife one day will be parents of. Great idea, Mommy. Good job planting vision in your son, but those are a couple of little ideas that you can do that will start to teach him and prepare him for what his future is. Okay, that's awesome. Thanks for calling in. Thanks so much for being a listener on the Dani Johnson Show. Okay, if you got any more comments or questions concerning this topic, 844-200-3264. Or if you know, man, you're doing something right with your kid concerning grooming him up or her up for being an entrepreneur, call us and share, 844-200-3264. If you are that kid and you're grooming yourself for it, call me. I want to know about it, 844-200-3264. I really believe the skill sets that you can help your kid learn by teaching them how to think like a business person and how to find opportunity, how to profit from opportunity, and then how to give from those profits. Gosh, could you imagine what an amazing world this would be? Seriously, think about that. It'd be pretty amazing. All right, I've got Connie on line 3 from Grapevine, Texas. Connie, welcome to the Dani Johnson Show.
Hi, Dani. Hey, I just wanted to say I teach my kiddos to do vision boards. Every year we do a vision board. We set up goals, what we want to do. I wasn't raised like that, and so to have my kids be able to create those vision boards have been a huge impact on their lives.
That's awesome. Now, the question I have for you is what action items are they taking towards that vision? What are they putting into practice now to achieve the vision that they're putting on the board? How many things do they get to check off of that vision board each year or each month or every 6 months or once a quarter? Are you taking action items?
Right. Well, I have several different age groups, but I don't know. They get to mark off different items, such as I want to turn in all my homework, for my youngest kid, and so when she does that week, she gets to check it off, and we break it down like that.
Good job.
But I do have a kiddo that has come through depression, self-harm, suicide, and has done a 180.
Wow. Hold on one second here. Hold on one second here, girl. Hold the line. We got to cut to a break. I got to hear more about what you just said. This is Dani Johnson.
Learning to use your gifts and resources as a child and thriving on the Dani Johnson Show next.
More resources, more training, more results. The DaniJohnson.com Insider Membership is your ultimate success shortcut. Get exclusive access to reports, videos, audios, ebooks, cheat sheets, and other training for your personal and professional life. This is truly DaniJohnson.com's best kept secret. Become an Insider member today and get on the fast track to success. What multimillionaire do you know that volunteers their time to help ordinary people like you and me? There's only one. This is the Dani Johnson Show.
You will eat the fruit of your labor, and a man without a vision will perish. You've heard those words before. They're not mine. They came from the best success book ever written, the best financial book, the best relationship book, the best business book, the best conflict resolution book, the best book that has ever graced the planet for family, for finance, for business and career is the Bible. Life and death is in the power of our tongue. That's what that book said. A man without a vision will perish. And as a man thinks in his heart, so is he. And we will eat the fruit of our labor. The unfortunate thing is much of this, of what I just said to you, is not being trained in the next generation. And we've got a generation of kids who lack vision. Yes, which means that if you lack vision, a kid lacks vision, they will perish. Joining me right now, Connie, who came in the last segment of the first hour of the Dani Johnson Show, was talking to us about her kids having vision boards and how that's really made an impact. And she just began to tell us that she had a son that was cutting himself, hurting himself. And now we go back to Connie. Connie, how old was your son when you found out that he was cutting himself?
Well, Dani, it was actually my daughter.
Wow.
And she was probably about 15, 16 when she started cutting herself.
Wow. What drove her there? Like, what caused that? What provoked her to try to spill her own blood?
Well, we had a very dysfunctional home life. I had made some bad decisions, and she had seen and been a part of some things that she should not have been with her stepdad. She had actually been through some trauma herself. She had been through some rape situations. Jesus. And she was done. She was done. We actually went through a residential treatment. She asked me to take her to the hospital after trying to commit suicide a couple of times. And, during that whole time, I was creating a vision board. I had a business. I had just paid off like $18,000 worth of debt using your program and being acknowledged for that on your Facebook page. And when she saw that and she saw my vision board, then that kind of turned her around. And now every one of my children create those vision boards. And my particular daughter right now has done a 180. She is listening to you. She's listening to Les Brown. She's listening to everybody every single day. And she is just feeding her mind with the good stuff. And on her vision board, all she wants to do is write a book and be a motivational speaker for young kids. So, sorry, I get emotional. But
you should. I am too.
That's what she wants to do, and that's what she wants to do. And so that's where we're stuck as far as her being an entrepreneur, because she has chosen not to go to school, go to college, because she doesn't want to have the debts.
Yeah, and I understand. Unfortunately, in most cases, college right now is not a good return on investment. It's just not. The numbers don't scratch out. The results are just not there. And until those numbers change, I recommend most of the time that you don't go to college. There's no results. So that's a bad investment. I'd rather a kid buy a house. At least they have a mortgage, right? And not a debt the size of a mortgage and no house. At least they have a house for the mortgage instead of 4 years of drinking and partying and having sex with who knows who and how many. So your daughter wants to be a motivational speaker. That's actually an entrepreneur. That will be her own business. That will be her own business. She will be self-employed, and she will probably end up having a staff that will help her to be able to be that motivational speaker. And so here's where she's got to. So first of all, I cannot keep going without saying this, Connie. You are a humble woman. And I'm so proud of you for being completely in touch, but not ashamed, in touch with the failures of your past, but not carrying the guilt or the shame that often a past can give people like you and me, because I went down similar roads that you went down. So I'm proud of you that you are celebrating your accomplishments, that you see the error and you've made the choice to change. And you've done it so much so that you're now grooming up your kids to not make the same mistakes that you've made, but to have a different life. And I wish you were face to face with me right now. I would kiss both of your cheeks and your forehead. I would hug your neck so hard you might turn blue. Seriously, wow. You know, there's so many people out there that went down roads that you and I did, and they're still there. They're still there, Connie, and you're not. You're not. And you're not just giving in and giving up, but you're also now reaching into the next generation, and you're grooming your kids for success, and that is ever so more powerful. So here's what your daughter, okay? And by the way, you tell her I'm proud of her. You tell her that she has now a story. She has a story that is going to unfortunately relate to a huge populace of kids that are out there that are cutting themselves in secret, that have not yet come forward to ask for help. And so writing a book, great idea. Simple way it can be done. She can literally write herself an outline per chapter and speak it into a microphone, transcribe it, bam, bada boom, you're done. That's how my first book ever got written. Now we've got 2 more that are on their way. I've got 3 best-selling books already. And seriously, it is speaking from the heart. What I had to change, what my failures were, and how I went about doing it. And that has led countless hundreds of thousands of people to the same kind of redemptive way of living instead of still being stuck in that horrible, horrible place. So she should write a book, because there is millions of kids who are suffering from depression. There are hundreds of thousands of kids who are cutting themselves right now. So where she can start before she actually writes the book is she can start with a blog. The blog then turns into pages of a book. She begins to drive traffic to that blog, begin to make posts on Facebook, begin to share the inner emotions that she was having and how she turned it around. She can begin to do videos, just her and a small phone, a video that's on a phone. Post those suckers on YouTube. Again, that then turns into content that eventually turns into a book. Also, starting motivational-wise, speaking to other kids. She can begin starting with small groups in her own neighborhood. She can begin looking for opportunities to speak in churches. She can begin looking for opportunities to speak at schools. Just looking, she's got to start knocking on them doors and start presenting herself. And you tell her this, she must never turn into a polished speaker. She must be authentic. She must be herself. She must be herself. She must be herself. She must be herself. Do not try to speak with somebody else's voice. Do not try to speak with somebody else's cadence. Just be yourself. The days of those polished speakers are gone. Those days of those, make sure and do this with that eye contact. Yes, that kind of stuff is important. However, if you love the people you are talking to, even though they're strangers, if you love them, that is what's going to impact them versus the right cadence and the right pause and the right eye contact and all of that nonsense. People are looking for real people. They're sick and tired of these bamboozled politicians as well as so many preachers that are out there that care more about sounding good and sounding pretty and having all that polished nonsense that puts everyone to sleep. Authenticity is what her generation is looking for. They don't trust the politicians. They don't trust those polished speakers. They're looking for passion. They're looking for truth. They're looking for what is real. And that is what that girl is made of. There you go. All right. Thank you, Connie. Thank you so much for calling in today. I appreciate you. Wow. Okay, moving on. Line 2, Kristen from Boston, Massachusetts. Kristen, welcome to the Dani Johnson Show.
Thank you. I have a home-based business, and I'm a former teacher of entrepreneurship for inner-city high school kids. And so I absolutely love teaching lessons and putting that type of entrepreneurship, the love of it, in the kids that I teach and in my own children. I have 3. Awesome. My daughter, she's 9 years old. She's very talented at competitive cheer. And when you get to a certain level, you start to travel, and it starts getting very, very expensive.
Yes.
We've made the decision to keep me home and leave education, so budget is quite different this year. Mm-hmm. And I have to have this really hard conversation with her that we might not be able to do what she wants to do. So we decided we'd look within her, in her life, what she feels there's something missing, and we started a business together. And so we had our launch event, and she made $200 selling natural makeup. That's for performance. Nice. And she's loving it. That's awesome. It's really amazing.
That's awesome. You know what? What you did was wise, because where is competitive cheerleading going to take your daughter? Can you please tell me where the road ends?
It's starting to open up. I mean, it never has been before.
Hold on. I don't think that you understand where I'm talking about. Can you just kind of give me a general consensus of who the women turn into and what that path?
They're pretty powerful. Yeah, they're very confident. They're poised. They're athletes. They're really they have a lot of ambition, and they're driven.
Okay.
These girls that are doing this with her.
And incredibly vain.
Yeah, some.
Most. It's all about their body. It's all about their body. It's all about looks. It's not about character. In most cases. So, what you've done for your daughter, teaching her to start a business that has nothing to do with her body, is wise. That has nothing to do with the pressures of our society is wise. Having a more natural approach, right? What you said, she was selling natural makeup. That's awesome. It's about the environment. It's about taking better care of your skin. It's about not so much image of, if I don't have this 36, 24, 32, then I'm not going to qualify for something that I want to do. So honestly, what you're teaching your daughter with her starting a business is so much more powerful than her being in competitive cheer and mom and dad funding competitive cheer for her. By far, what she will learn with that business and holding those classes or those parties or whatever which way she's selling it is far more preparing her for a greater life and being a contributor in society than competitive cheer. So good job, Mommy. I'm proud of you. That's awesome. This is Dani Johnson. We're talking about grooming the next generation for success, specifically about grooming them for business. We'll continue after this.
Coming up on the Dani Johnson Show, believe in your child and they will believe in themselves.
Did you know you can see Dani Johnson live and in person? Go to DaniJohnson.com and find out about our next live event. First Steps to Success. Register today. Call 866-760-8255 or go to DaniJohnson.com/FSTS.
Prior to plugging into First Steps to Success, I was a depressed, hopeless, suicidal drug addict. I had no vision for my life. I absolutely hated people, hated myself. I felt shackled by my debt, and I had toxic relationships. Since plugging in, I've been drug-free for almost 18 months. I paid off nearly $14,000 worth of debt in 14 months. I have completely restored my relationships with my friends and my family. I have a vision for my life now, and I'm actually live and not exist anymore. So I don't know if you have debt or not, or if your life's going perfectly the way you want it to go. But if not, I highly recommend you get registered today for the next First Steps to Success.
Prior to plugging into DaniJohnson.com, we were just lost. We had no hope and light at the end of the tunnel, and we were drowning in debt. After coming to First Steps to Success and plugging into DaniJohnson.com, our income has doubled. We have paid off over $76,000 of debt in just 45 months. My husband and my communication skills have just raised us through the roof, and my husband has cut back his hours, making more income. If you want results like these, you better get to First Steps to Success.
I have been plugging into Dani Johnson for the last 8 years, believe it or not. And people say, why so long? Well, because there's a lot to do in life, and it has changed every area of my life. My business has exploded, my spiritual life has been unmatched, and my relationship with my wife and my family has just been fantastic. We've paid off over $200,000 of debt in just 2 years. We're debt-free, and I just could not be happier. But if you want to change any area of your life, whether it's your business, your marriage, your relationship with your kids, your financial situation, or getting out of debt, or your spiritual life, I would tell you, you cannot afford to miss First Steps to Success. It's just been a blessing to me and my family. So I really invite you to just get online and get your ticket to the next First Steps to Success. Thank you very much.
We're back. Here's Dani Johnson.
I believe that we've got a generation of a bunch of greedy, entitled kids that unfortunately are suffering from obesity as well. And parents scratch their heads and say, I don't know what to do. I don't know what's wrong. It's the kids these days. Friend, I hate to tell you the hardcore truth. No, it's parents these days. It's parents that don't realize that they are supposed to train up their children in the way they are supposed to go. You're not supposed to be your kid's friend. And yes, your kids are going to think you're crazy, nuts, and stupid from time to time, and they're even going to have some bitterness and resentment from time to time. But you are to be the parent, not the friend, not the best friend. You are supposed to be their guide and making sure you prepare them for a better future than maybe what your parents prepared you for. Whether or not they follow your advice, that is irrelevant. What matters is that you plant that advice inside of them, that you groom them with things that are inside of this manual called Grooming the Next Generation for Success. Things like financial skills. Come on now. Do you want your kids learning how you learned about money? Get out of first of all, spend all the way through high school all of your allowance on clothes or shoes or music or food. Have no money in your savings account. When you go to college, you come out with a mortgage but no house. Big debt while you drank yourself through college. No financial skills, no business skills, no work ethic skills. School is not going to teach them these things, but you are going to teach your kids these things. And we've been talking about for the last 2 hours about grooming your children for success, predominantly in the area of them becoming entrepreneurs and how to shape their mind to not think of how do I get a job, but how do I create a job? That's what I love about what our last caller was just saying. Her 6-year-old came to her and said, Mom, I want to help pay off debt. How can I get a job? Mommy said, let's create a job. She heard me talk about at our last First Steps to Success, our training seminar, just like the one that's coming up in August, the end of August in Los Angeles, California, actually Long Beach, California. But check it out. She heard me talk about a 9-year-old boy who started a dog picking up poop business. She presented the idea to her son. He named it Poop Patrol. Has made his investment, knocking on doors and making money at 6 years old. Grooming the next generation for success, my friend. That's what we got to do because our society is grooming them for mediocrity. They're grooming them for being bankrupt. They're grooming them to be either dead or dead broke at the age of 65. Our society is failing to teach our kids what they really need to know about business, about life, about relationship, and about money. And it's our job, your job with your kids, my job with my kids. And if they follow it, great. If they don't, you wash your hands, baby, because you know you did a good job if you made sure and you taught your kids the things that are inside of this book, Grooming the Next Generation for Success. We got line 2, Stacy from Pennsylvania. Stacy, welcome to the Dani Johnson Show.
Hi, Dani. How are you?
Great. What can I do for you?
So my question to you is, I've got 2 children. One is 4 and one is 11. My 11-year-old just attended his first steps in San Antonio. So how do I, as a single mother, get my children to, you teach about vision, you teach about dreams, to do that at a young age?
That's so
interesting. Work it into a family plan.
Yes. You start with where they're at, with what they've already got, and you got to take action steps towards getting to where they want to go. So a 4-year-old, it's simple. In Grooming the Next Generation for Success, you have that home study course?
I do, and we do it.
Awesome. So in there, I talk about vision, right, and how to draw it out of your 4-year-old. Where are you at with that?
His attention is probably about 10 minutes of just watching that video.
No. I'm saying you draw. Yeah. You draw it. I have a script inside of the book that tells you how to ask them questions and to say, what is in your heart to do? What do you want to be? Notice also his skill sets.
Right. He's just starting to get into that. And it's funny you said that because I've now kind of put it into him and planted the seed of, earning money, which is something I hadn't been doing, and giving a percentage of course, giving a percentage away, save a percentage. And so now he walks around to strangers and says, can you give me money so I can give to the poor?
That's so awesome.
Yeah.
Stacy, that's rad. I love it. Gosh.
We went into a jeweler. I was doing some stuff and selling jewelry, and he gave the guy he had a penny. He said, "I'll give you a penny for $1," and the guy gave one. Yeah.
You're doing a good job, Mommy. Okay, I'm telling you, you're doing a great job. Now listen to me, Stacy. Number 1. Don't use being a single mom as your handicap. Do you hear me? Don't use being a single mom as your handicap, because you actually use that label to try to create a picture that you have half as much help to form vision in your children. There are moms and dads in the home that do not plant vision in their children at all. And let me just go here, because you talked about your son wanting to raise money for the orphan. He's asking perfect strangers for money so he can give it to the orphan. I'm going to combine this orphan story with the single mom story. Are you ready for this? I know a single mom who has raised 650 children.
Yep.
And she has planted vision in all 650 children over the last 25 years. She is a single mom. She has raised 650 orphans. And if you ever come with me to that orphanage that we all just finished building, you can ask any one of those kids, the 4-year-old up to the 18-year-old, what do you want to be when you grow up? And they all have an answer. I want to be an architect. I want to be an engineer. I'm going to be a doctor. I'm going to be an author. If I step on campus here in the United States or in Canada or in Europe or in Australia and I ask the same question of the same age group, guess what my answer is? I don't know. I don't know.
I have an 11-year-old who gives me that answer.
Yeah.
So we've been working.
Yeah. And so it's good. Listen, you allowed your son not to have vision for 11 years.
Yeah.
Right? So you ain't going to fix it overnight. But what I am telling you is being a single mom ain't an excuse for no vision. If a woman can raise 650 of other people's kids, honey, you can certainly raise 2 with vision. So keep at it and don't stop. This is Dani Johnson. Thanks so much for joining us today. We have completely enjoyed our time with you. Listen, grooming the next generation for success is so important. It is your job, my job with my kids, your job with your kids. I'd love to hear your thoughts about today's show. And also, if you feel like, man, this word needs to get out there, share it on Facebook. Okay, you can go to our site, you can get a link to the show, and you can share it for free to everybody, all of your friends on Facebook or Twitter or whatever social media platform you are from. Go ahead, share this message so that we can begin grooming the next generation for success together. This is Dani Johnson. We'll talk to you tomorrow with another intriguing topic. Bye.
We want to thank you for listening to The Dani Johnson Show. We hope you found inspiration, answers, and hope to renew your happiness in life and learn how to make the most of today and tomorrow. Join us again on the next Dani Johnson Show.